Hi y'all. Today I want to talk about and discuss the exceptional directives in PlanetSide. They're very unique, they're very interesting directives, and they have a unique structure that you don't really see anywhere else. So, normally when you think of a weapon directive, you're looking at, your standard weapon directives. You're using just weapons of one class, and then you get rewarded with a special version of that weapon, right? Or your special version of your default weapon. You're using weapons of a class to master, quote-unquote, that class, to unlock a special weapon for doing so. But for exceptional directives, on the other hand, you kind of just pick a couple weapons out of a big list of reskins, and you get like a camo or like some other kind of wacky cosmetic for your trouble. So they're kind of unique in the fact that you get to pick and choose what you want to do for a cosmetic reward, rather than having to use a specific set of weapons in order to gain, a weapon or something unique gameplay-wise. But the problem is there's 8 of these things, right? Well, 7, but we're going to include Mayhem because it's an exceptional directive in all but name. It works the exact same way as the other ones. So, since there's so many of these, with so many varying rewards, you've got camos, you've got a helmet, you've got a pistol reskin, you've got a lot of interesting rewards here. But you always see people talk about certain exceptionals over the others, right? People will generally tend to talk about exceptional 1, 2, 3. And you don't really hear a lot about the later ones. So I wanted to kind of cover and just talk about, what makes a good exceptional directive? What makes an exceptional directive good? Is it the weapons within? Is it the camo? Or your reward, say, for completing it? And what makes them bad? Because, let's face it, some of these directives are not really worth the struggle. So I just kind of wanted to lay out my thoughts on this. If you might be able to tell, I'm experimenting with this video. I've kind of written a rough script that I'm going to try and follow. Let me know if you think it works, or if you much prefer the more live style. So, in my opinion, a good exceptional directive will task the player with their accessing various weapons in different roles for some kind of unique cosmetic reward, right? Your black camo, your brilliant camo, your NS Chevalier, your brass pilot. You don't have to stick to a specific weapon type, you kind of get to pick and choose a whole bunch of different weapon classes to work within. So, in my opinion, a good one will allow you to use various weapons for a unique reward. But, some of these rewards are certainly better than others. Come on, how many people do you really think run around with a Chevalier? Clearly some of these things are better than others. But why? What makes a reward worth the investment you need to get for it? So, we're kind of going to go through each of these exceptional directives, what I think works well in them, what I think doesn't work well, and kind of just see what makes them good or bad. So, of course, we start with exceptional 1, the original exceptional directive, the original specialty. This thing contains weapons all the way from the game's launch, with some things like the golden submachine guns, for example, the Aerodani Gold or the Cyclone Gold, all the way up to Anniversary 4. So you've really got about 4 years here worth of weapons. And it shows. You've got 36 options on your regular factions. By regular, I mean not NSO. On NSO, your list is much more compact, but you still have a lot of choice no matter what you do, right? So, you've got a lot of options here, and a lot of the way to obtain these weapons. For example, this is the only exceptional that a player can do for free, with all the knives available that have been available for certs, the candy cannon, the flare gun, the deep freeze. Sure, they're awful, but in theory, as a free-to-play player, you can obtain black camo. And this is unique to Exceptional 1, and it's both good and bad. For Specialty Directive and for it being black camo, I think it's great. But it also kind of goes against the point of the Exceptional Directives, which are just kind of like special reskins that get you neat little things. But everyone's going to have their own opinion on whether free players should be able to do this. It's just worth noting that Exceptional 1 is the only one that lets you do it. That being said, you've got 36 options here, right? So here's the problem. Because you have 36 options, you have a lot of bloat. It's not like the other exceptionals where you kind of have, a limited amount of weapons you kind of got to work within. No, you can easily find something here that you like. Most players will just simply go for the platinum versions of the NS guns, or, say, the Anniversary 4 weapons, the Anniversary 2 weapons. Despite how many options you have here, most players are probably going to have a very similar completion list for Exceptional. It's probably going to include the Gallows. It's probably going to include the 15 MAE and the Baron AE. It's probably going to include the Platinum 11A, for example. Like, despite you having a lot of options, you don't really use them, you just go for the easy ones. And this is, I think, probably the biggest problem with Exceptional 1, in that you actually have too many options, because you can just kind of find the standard weapons that you know you already like, you already use. And then you just grind for black camo in like a regular directive. It doesn't force you out of your playstyle, it doesn't like force you to use different stuff that you might not be used to. You just do the same weapons you've probably already raxiumed if you're going for an exceptional. Again. So, in my opinion, despite black camo being absolutely amazing, like, it is far and away one of the best exceptional rewards. It's kind of a really uninspired directive, mostly just for how many, you know, pure weapons, pure choices it has in it. So then we move down to Exceptional 2, where you've only got 16 options here. Of course, heavily limited in comparison to Exceptional 1. You've lost over half of, like, the amount of options available. In exchange, you get gold weapon camo. Pretty cool reward. Problem is, because it's only for weapons, and most people have other camouflages they like to run, or are using something like an Araxian weapon, or whatever, that you don't really put camos on, quote-unquote. Kind of diminishes it. Like, if you could apply this to even, like, vehicles or armor, I think it'd be a really great reward, but it's just weapons, it's kind of underwhelming. I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, it's cool. But it's kind of underwhelming. The problem here, though, is it's a lot like Exceptional 1, where you still have a lot of very familiar weapons. Like, for example, you're probably going to do the Tengu, Naginata, and Tanto reskins. They've all been given out for free, and they're all relatively easier axioms. You're probably going to do the Diamondback, because it's an 11A reskin. You're probably going to do the Doku LMG reskin. Like, it's a lot like Exceptional 1, where you've probably already used or axiomed all these weapons before. It's not really anything new. And if you want to try and branch out, you can do archers, you can do lightning AP, you can do knives. Like, it doesn't really make sense to branch out here because you have such easy and reliable options. Not to mention that, as I said, the Platinum NSX weapons were given for free, really meaning you just need to buy, say, a Diamondback and a Little Helper, and then you have a relatively cheap directive. Like, it's actually probably the cheapest exceptional directive to complete, barring, like, the cheapest, but also not that painful. Of course, you can do Exceptional 1 for free, but that's pretty painful doing knives and candy cannons. Still, it's a decent directive, it's just kind of underwhelming. This is kind of where you start to see the rewards are neat, but they're not really super useful. Like, with black camo, you can run that on everything, but gold weapon camo is just kind of, eh. So then we move down into Exceptional 3. You've only got 11 choices here. That's bad, considering that for the first time, they've upped your requirements to 6, so you have to Araxium over half the list here. And that's not the end of your troubles, because if you don't buy the big 90 tier bundle, or the $90 bundle for Anniversary 7, well, you're gonna have a really bad time. You've got 4 knives here, and a thumper. You have to buy at least 1 tier of the Anniversary 7 bundle to even be able to complete Exceptional 3. This is bad. And then if you want to do it without pain, you basically have to get the $90 bundle, because then you just do your NSX reskins. Like, the other weapons here, unless you're willing to go out of your way to Raxium knives, you really only have one choice here. And it's not like the NSX weapons are that good or enjoyable to use. So, it's not bad, it's just really uninspired. But the directive is arguably saved by its reward. I think Brilliant Camo looks amazing, it's very visually unique, you can run it on everything, it looks cool, like, it's... There's no other camo like it. You can't get something like Brilliant Camo anywhere else. And I think that really saves Exceptional 3, but it doesn't change the fact that at this point you can start to see that exceptional directives are really starting to be made to sell bundles. And this really starts to become a problem onwards, but it really begins in Exceptional 3, where you have to buy Anniversary 7, it's in some form, to complete this directive. And that really picks a disturbing implication for all the following directives that we'll get to. So, alright, Exceptional 3, not that bad. Let's move down to Exceptional 4. This is where it starts to get kinda yikes. You get 12 weapons, so 1 more than Exceptional 3, but realistically, you gotta buy Anniversary 8 for this, because you're just doing all your NS reskins that are in Anniversary 8. Again, not necessarily bad weapons, just underwhelming, forgettable. You've probably done all these before. There's not really a point. And then what are you going to do for your 6th one? Are you going to get, say, your Sortable Amaterasu? Probably. You might be doing the Platinum Pilot that was available as a freebie in the anniversary that year. You might use the Lucky Baron, etc., etc. But you kind of have to buy Anniversary 8 here. And then you get Beetle Camp. It's just kind of... It's not a bad camo, but you can't really use it anywhere. Like, the only faction it really works on is NC, because it already kind of fits with their colors. But even then, like, you probably have better camos elsewhere. It just doesn't look that good. You don't see it a whole lot. For example, on Connery, I've probably only seen a couple of them since the Directive came out. Like, it's just kind of a mediocre reward. And this is really where the exceptionals really start to fall off. Like, 1, 2, 3, black camo, gold weapon camo, brilliant camo, all pretty decent rewards, pretty cool rewards. You have uses for all of them. But then you get beetle camo, and it's just kind of, like, it's really going to start to fall from here onwards. So you get to Exceptional 5. Okay, Exceptional 4 wasn't that great. But can Exceptional 5 save it? No. You get the Chevalier. It's a gold reskin of the high threat helmet that was in Anniversary Bundle 7. Meaning that, if you did Exceptional 3, you already have this helmet. Not to mention the high threat helmet already doesn't look very good and doesn't really work with anything. Okay, it's gold, but like, you really tell me you don't have a better helmet? Not to mention all the weapons in here are just meh. Like, they're pretty much all the Osher era weapons, where they're like, all your underwater weapons, your Anniversary 9 stuff. And once again, like, they're just underwhelming. They're not very fun Araxiums for a terrible reward. Like, why would you do Exceptional 5? I mean, at least you can get the underwater weapons for free, so you kind of get 4 freebies, plus the Icy Kill if you're willing to do a knife, so you've got 5 out of 6 right there. But then, like, it's just... Why would you put in all that effort for the Chevalier? I have never seen one of these things on Connery. So if somebody has, please let me know, because I genuinely have never ever seen this thing in use. It's such a junk reward. So, move on to Exceptional 6. Maybe things... No, they're not looking up. They're basically all PlanetSide 1 throwback weapons. I mean, you've got stuff like the Thumpers, you've got the PS1 Suppressor, you've got the Diamondback, you've got the Hammerhead, you've got the Apex Assault Rifles, you've got the Punt, etc. Problem is, okay, so, like, you've seen all these PlanetSide 1 throwback stuff. Or PlanetSide, like, themed weapons, like the Diamondback and whatnot. So what are you gonna get? Maybe some cool little PlanetSide 1 retro armor, maybe an old camo, maybe an old helmet? No, here's Hazard Pay. Arguably, probably one of the worst camos in the game. I think you would be hard-pressed to find someone who would actually say, I want to use Hazard Pay. It's not a whole lot to say on it. It's just junk. It's bad. Like, I have also never seen one of these things on Connery. Like, at least I saw Beetle Camo occasionally, and I see a lot of, like, I see a lot of black camo, you see a lot of brilliant camo. You don't see a lot of gold weapon camo, but, like, it's still alright. But then you start getting to 4, 5, 6, and the rewards just go down and down. But hey, here's the thing. At least they're still, quote-unquote, unique. Like, the golden high threat helmet is meh, but you can't get a helmet like it. Hazard Pay is but at least you can't get a camo like it. It gets worse. Exceptional 7, the most recent Exceptional. I don't know how many weapons are going to be in this thing by the time it ends, but currently it has basically the Anniversary 10 weapons plus the Frostbite weapons and the Frontline that was just given away for free in Twitch Prime Rewards, because that's going to date this video, but whatever. But here's the thing. Your reward is Chrome Shine Camo. Are you familiar with Bare Metal Camo? It costs 300 Daybreak cash in the depot. It looks almost the exact same. In fact, if you put them side by side, it would be very, very hard to tell which is which. So you're realistically spending $90 on Anniversary 10 to get a version of a camo that you can get for $5. $3 if they let you buy DBC in whatever amount you wanted. Even if the weapons in here were good, does that really sound like a good trade to you? Like, this isn't even a unique reward. It's just... At least all the other exceptionals, as good or bad as they may be, have, you know, unique rewards in them, at this point you're just dropping money to get a slightly different camo. Like, it was already starting to show an exceptional 4 and even 3, but like you can really tell that as time has gone on and these exceptionals have been released like kind of 1 or 2 per year, they're really just starting to be cash grabs more than anything else, especially with how bad their rewards are getting. They really just feel like they're just a cash grab for whales to, you know, have something to work towards, but like, for the average player, why would you do these? Like, if you're an average player, the only exceptional that really makes sense to do is black camo, because it's pretty cool and you can work with it on anything. But, like, then you just start getting into these lower exceptionals, and it's just like, why? Why would you bother with these? These weapons are all boring or unfun to use, or you've used them before. Just to get a like... Exceptional 7 is just bad. I really, really worry for if they decide to keep doing these and make an Exceptional 8. What are we gonna get? A white camo that's in an ever so slightly different shade? It really doesn't set a good precedent for anything going on, but it's like you can definitely see the quality of these directives directly in proportion to how much you're expected to spend on them. Very inverse. So, while it's not exceptional in name, I would like to cover Mayhem here as well. Because it functionally works as an exceptional directive. Even though it was only created for the Ravenous and Heatwave weapon bundles, it's still structured like an exceptional. You've got weapons of all different types. And then you work into what I personally believe is the coolest reward of all the specialty directives, and that's the Brass Pilot. You don't see it a whole lot, but it is a really, really good skin variant on one is, like, already one of the best pistols in the entire game. Like, it's just a good reward. And, unlike the others, you've probably used most of these weapons before, but at least they're varied. I mean, you've got a Tanto, you've got an 11A, you've got your mediocre AR, so stuff like the Zenith. I think on TR it's the Lynx, and on NC I think it's the Bandit, so you've got a decent carbine. And then you've got your Auto Scouts. Not bad weapons, but pretty varied in how they play, right? And then, in true exceptional directive fashion, you're going to get bullied. A Raxium and Emissary, a Blackhand, a Decimator, hell, even a Gorgon if you're into that sort of thing. Of note, this weapon is particularly bad on NSO because you don't have access to the Carbine or Auto Scout option, and you will have to Araxium, well, everything but the Swarm. So you gotta do the Emissary, Blackhand, and Decimator whether you like it or not. But still, like, it's not a super hard directive, it's not super expensive, and you get a really cool looking version of one of the best pistols in the game. Like, I would argue it's right up there with Brilliant Camo and Black Camo in terms of just how good this reward is. And it's not particularly cash grabby. I mean, it's pricey, don't get me wrong. But, like, you'll actually probably use these weapons, and you'll probably enjoy these weapons. It's just... it's a shame that it kind of was abandoned pretty quickly. And that the more weapons haven't been like it. Can you imagine if they gave away, like... if an exceptional directive had, like, maybe... for the, say, the Osher, quote-unquote, exceptional directive... if there was, like, a unique water-themed camo, or maybe a unique water-themed commissioner or something, I don't know. But, like, offering up weapons as reward for exceptional is a pretty good idea in my opinion, especially since the camo quality has been going down so hard. This is still a way to give the player something they can use, and justifiably so. I mean, they can grind Araxiums on it, if nothing else. So, it's like, it's just a good directive. I think Mayhem is probably the best exceptional directive. I would honestly say it's probably the best exceptional directive overall, maybe aside from one. But keep in mind, Mayhem was released kind of in between 2 and 3. So it's got a lot of that early exceptional kind of like, ooh, it's actually kind of good. And then once you hit 4, it just falls off so hard. Rogue Planet, like, I know these directives were always meant to be enticements to spend money, but they don't do a very good job enticing you to spend that money, is the problem. Like, you see black camo, and you think, damn, that's pretty cool, I want that. You see hazard pay, and you think, what the fuck am I looking at? Well, how are you going to entice players to buy these weapons to do these directives if the rewards are so terrible? That's kind of my point, and this is something that pretty much all the exceptionals, barring 1, 2, 3, and Mayhem suffer from. Why would you be dropping like $90, if not more, to get a mediocre camo that doesn't look good? if they really want us to spend money on these directives, why wouldn't they offer up some genuinely cool rewards for it? Like the Brass Pilot, like Black Camo, like Brilliant Camo. Like, that's kind of my core point here. For the price you have to spend, a lot of these directives just aren't worth the reward you're getting out of them. One idea I think could be a little more interesting perhaps for a future exceptional directive, or hell, even if they just want to rework these earlier ones, why not merge stuff like it? Why not merge exceptional 4 and 5 together and force like maybe 9 or 10 axioms? And then just upon completion give you both the Chevalier and the Beetle Camo. Sure, you're still stuck with the mediocre weapons and the mediocre rewards, but at least you're getting a bigger reward, if that makes sense. And you kind of have more freedom to pick what you might want to pick instead of just using the anniversary bundle of the year's content. But really, it's just, for what you're doing, the rewards are just underwhelming. Honestly, the Chevalier sums it up perfectly. You're spending probably $90 to complete an exceptional directive to get a mediocre reskin of a helmet you could already buy. But what is the point? Same goes for Chrome Shine. Why would you spend $90 to get a mediocre version of a camo you can already buy for $3? It's just... There's really nothing more to say on it, and that's personally what I think is the problem with these directives. It's too much price for what you're getting. Of course, it's all subjective, but I think most players could agree with me here that $90 for a bare metal reskin is not a very good trade. So, that's all I really have to say on these things. Thank you for listening if you're still here. Please feel free to talk about, what you think of this, well, of exceptional and like how these things work. Because I really want to see what other people think on this. This is something I've been wanting to cover for a while now, because it's always been in the back of my mind. But, hey, it's something to talk about. As I said, I experimented. This is just kind of more on the personal video stuff. You can feel free to click off. Thank you, by the way. I experimented with kind of writing a rough script for this video. I don't know if it kind of works. If you want to let me know, like, if it works, if you kind of like the idea of kind of me scripting and following a rough pattern here. Or if you just prefer the raw, on the go, think of stuff as I say it kind of thing. Just let me know. Or don't. So, yeah. Thank you all if you're still here. And I will hopefully see you another time. So, bye.